Who remembers the iPhone reveal back in 2007? I sure don't. But almost 20 years later, it's nice to see how much the technology has evolved. We now have stuff like HiWaifu and Grok AI. Okay, we're not in our best era, but 15 to 10 years earlier, we were in the golden age of mobile apps. Stuff like Angry Birds and Doodle Jump were the rage back then, and now one of them is 6 feet under. Mobile apps and games get listed all the time, but what happens if they're not properly archived? Yeah, they become lost media. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world of lost mobile games. You guys know Outfit 7, right? I don't blame you if you don't. Who the heck names their company that? They're the guys that made the Talking Tom franchise, but before the 30+ Talking Friends games and the original Talking Tom, Outfit 7 created a bunch of weird useless apps that no one bothered to download. Can you believe that the first app made by the Talking Tom guys was an app called Wells Affirmations? I'm not joking. The majority of the apps from this era before Talking Tom remain lost, but they're honestly not that interesting. Except one, their second app called Save the World Now, or just Save the World. The app came out shortly after Wells Affirmations in 2010, and like many low-budget apps from this era, this one was pretty low effort. It starts by giving you the option between saving the Earth, Uranus, or the Sun. If you choose to save Earth or Uranus, a pop-up message appears saying congratulations and you get a wallpaper of Earth and Uranus. But if you choose the Sun, you get a message saying saving aborted, you were too late, Oracle Corporation got there first. Appears, and that's pretty much it for Save the World. This app was delisted in 2011 next to all the other ones and became completely lost for 13 years. That was until 2024, when a gentleman called Ralph Boston uploaded the Android version onto the Internet Archive. But that still leaves it partially found because the iOS version is still lost. But technically, it's found, so there you go. 10 seconds into it and it was time to get some sleep. Don't play it, you don't need to save the world. I vaguely remember this one, and it was something else. We all remember Fred, right? Maybe if you're 6 or 7, you don't, but this guy was at the top of YouTube back in the late 2000s. Those were the early days, a time when you only needed a butt plug and a dream. But Fred was at the top of the game. Bro even made an appearance on an episode of iCarly, and also did a bunch of projects for Nickelodeon. Like Fred the Movie and Marvin. I like the guy, but these were not great. But we're getting sidetracked. An app based on the It's Fred animated show from YouTube called It's Fred was released exclusively for iOS in November 2012. The app was paid, costing 99 cents, but sometime later, the app was delisted and removed from the App Store. Reasons are unknown, but it's speculated that it was due to the retirement of the Fred character and channel, or maybe because the devs never updated for modern devices. This game is weird. It's a 3D game where you collect potatoes and items by flinging Fred's body across the screen and into the environment. He's a ragdoll, damn it. It looks okay, but I see it getting repetitive after a while. I mean, just look at it. Besides some cosmetics, what's more to this? This was one of the first apps based on an internet influencer, and honestly, looking at the time it was released, I find it hard to think that someone would care to archive this one. We're also talking about 2012-2013. His peak, Fred's peak, was already behind him for a while. But in late 2024, the iPad version of the original app was uploaded to the Internet Archive, making it found once again. Although, if you want that HD version, you're out of luck, because that version still remains lost media. Sorry, Fred fans. This one is pretty popular, but come on. When am I gonna talk about Kingdom Hearts? Maybe when I get around to play the games, which, might take a while. Kingdom Hearts Vcast was a game exclusively made for the Verizon Wireless Vcast cell phone network. That's where the game gets its name. It was released in October 2004 in Japan and 4 months later in the United States. If it isn't obvious looking at it, it wasn't made by Square Enix, it was Disney Interactive and Superscape that took the helm in this one. But hey, for a 2004 mobile game, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad at all. Though if it's on the list, something happened for it to become unplayable. In 2012, the Vcast network ceased to exist, and thus, if you didn't own the game at that point, you were out of luck, because it became impossible to download it. I remember this game being a pretty big deal in the community back in the day, and for a reason. It's a pretty popular IP, and it's an earlier game in the series. Vcast released 2 years before Kingdom Hearts 2, and I don't know about you, but that's crazy. The game was compiled into chapters, with 4 chapters in total, and starting in 2016, the Kingdom Hearts community slowly uncovered this gem. In 2016, the first chapter was dumped by a 4chan user, in 2018 the third chapter was also uploaded to the net, and in 2022, 2 users of the community found and dumped the fourth and final chapter. Okay, yay, but what about chapter 2? We don't know much about chapter 2, except the fact that it takes place in Wonderland from Alice in Wonderland. But until that chapter gets found, Kingdom Hearts Vcast remains incomplete. But if you're a Kingdom Hearts fan and afraid that you missed out on a part of Sora's story, don't worry, this one's not canon, so you can keep this one on the ground. In 2008, some funny guy called Armin Henrik released an app called I Am Rich on the Apple App Store, which had just been released, and priced it for $1,000. And the best part of all of this is that 8 people bought it. And what you get? A black screen saying,
I am rich, I deserve it, I am good, healthy and successful.
I mean, sure, but I still bought the $1,000 app. This app was pulled from the App Store less than 24 hours after its launch and became lost media right off the get-go. I'm aware that there are some videos claiming that they have the app and even some uploads to the Internet Archive, but I doubt they're the original. The only way we could get the original APA file is if the people who bought the game almost 20 years later find it and dump it onto the internet, and honestly, I doubt those people care. But hey, if you're one of those people... Okay, this one freaks me out and I don't know why. And also, I don't know if it's real. All my information came from the Lost Media Archive, and that place is not the most reliable, but from everything I've seen and read, it looks legit. Okay, so apparently some unknown company remade the original Talking Tom from 2010 without the original developer's knowledge. The app is named Talking Cat Free, and it plays exactly like the original, but the game's features, you know, the animations, have a limit to how many times you can use them. But not only that, the background is completely different and some sound effects were replaced. And we also have this abysmal loading screen. Something's wrong, but I can't quite put my finger on it. The app was made sometime between 2015 and 2016, and it was removed shortly after, most likely due to copyright. All we have about Talking Cat Free is one video and a fan recreation. I don't know why you would ever want to recreate it, but honestly, I respect the hustle. But this also raises a question: if there's a Talking Cat Free app, surely there's a paid version with more features. And that may be the case, though we don't have any evidence of its existence. Honestly, this game feels like a glorified virus, and we wouldn't gain much if it got found. But I still need to know if that paid version exists or not. Shit. When I said that the Lost Media Archive wasn't reliable, I wasn't wrong. They got Talking Baby Nose on this thing. There's no way that's real. Oh my god! Sonic Jump is a mobile game that you can play right now. What? Yeah, it's not Lost Media. But what is Lost Media is a pretty unexpected translation from none other than North Korea. In 2015, a North Korean bootleg translation surfaced with little information. We have no idea who made this translation or how and why they did it. And if you know anything about North Korea, this guy is probably not in a good position right now, if this translation was actually made in the country, which honestly, I have my doubts. All we have of this version is a gameplay video from 2017 and that's it. I'm curious how this one will get found, if it happens. Charlie the Steak was an iOS exclusive stress relieving app that was developed by Dynamic Dust and released in 2013. This game was pretty wild, with the main goal of smashing and bashing this meat with a face. What the fuck? By doing so, you get meatballs, and by getting a certain number of them, you unlock new modes with more absurd animations. And not to mention that Charlie gets progressively more rotten. Poor guy. It's the same thing until the final mode, where Charlie is absolutely rotten and the game turns into Gorefest. Charlie the Steak is not your run-of-the-mill kids game. This game gets so gory, it's not even funny. Charlie the Steak isn't a mobile app, it's a lifestyle and people were living it back in 2024. Following the game's removal from the App Store in 2015, nobody really spoke about Charlie the Steak. But it came 2024 and memes about this guy were everywhere. You couldn't escape the smug during the whole summer, and I couldn't be more proud. With the recent buzz, the developer came forward and revealed that the game was delisted from the App Store because Dynamic Dust shut down, and the 64-bit version, an App Store requirement, was never made. In August 2024, the iPad version was found, and eventually the iPhone version was released onto the App Store, updated for modern devices. An Android version was also planned, but it was cancelled following a series of misfortunes, to the dismay of many people, including me. Man, what I'd give to play this masterpiece. I'd give a pair of scissors, and whatever this is. This one is a personal lost game, so everything I'm about to say is my recollection from more than a decade ago, so bear with me. I remember this was this game/app on the Google App Store back in 2012 and 2013 of some sort of Candyland with candy-based minigames. I remember there was a cotton candy minigame and I think there was a popcorn-based one, but I'm not sure if that was a separate game cause I'm pretty sure there were multiple apps. And the minigames were basically like, make the cotton candy or bake the cookies, something like that. This game was kinda like the Windows 7 game Purple Plays, but with a realistic aesthetic. I've been trying so hard to find that game and I just can't seem to find it. The last time I saw it was maybe in 2016, since then it has just vanished. Every time I try to Google it, I just get bombarded by Candy Crush and god damn it, it's hard. Even if I search for things before 2014 and 2013, I still get Candy Crush. Okay, this one is also a personal one, and it's a pretty funny one. Back when Pokémon Go came out, every mobile game developer wanted a piece of the pie. This was the biggest mobile game at the time. People went crazy with this shit. And for what? Weedle? Yeah, I had a pretty assy phone at the time and I kind of missed out on the Pokémon Go craze. Kind of. God bless bootleg apps. I couldn't play Pokémon Go, but I could play the second best thing. I don't remember the game's name, but I remember it had like 12 or 16 creatures in total, and they all looked like shit. And mind you, these weren't the actual Pokémon. They were these weird knockoffs, and I only remember the knockoffs of Charmander and Krabby for some reason. Catching these were a bitch. Deadass, the gameplay was like this. No hub world, no map, you just have camera mode, and you're good to go. I caught all the Pokefarts in a day, and I have never touched them since. I pretty much speedran the thing. I even went outside to complete the fake tags. That's something I don't do every day, so that's a pretty sad memory indeed. This next step is something special, because it's about memes. Sorry. This app was called Memebox, and it was nothing more than a meme soundboard. I used this app a lot, from like 2012 to 2014. I as a 5-year-old was real into the Trollolo song and Trollface in general, so memes have basically been a part of my DNA since the beginning. I cannot believe I just said that. You had the classics, Leroy Jenkins, Keyboard Cat, Nyan Cat, Never Gonna Give You Up, Leak Spin, and of course, the Trollolo song. I'm 100% sure this app is still available online, cause like 3 years ago I found it on a random website to download, but because I was using a modern version of Android, it wouldn't let me use it. I believe it's still floating somewhere, and maybe someday, I'll get to use it once again. Alright, this final app is just sad, because you can still download it, but it doesn't work anymore. Ditty, or Ditty.it, was an app that went viral in the mid-2010s. It was ahead of its time, creating musical vocals based off custom lyrics. You could literally make a song about LeBron James and Sprite Cranberry by just typing the lyrics. Okay, a song like that already exists, but I also did it on Ditty. It was also kind of a social media. You had the ability to publish your songs on the app, so everyone could see your creations. Ditty was that simple, but it was something new, and I remember laughing for hours with my stupid songs about LeBron James and probably some more, I don't remember. But in October 2019, with the rise of TikTok, Ditty got left behind and shut down, leaving an impression on its users. The final post on their Twitter account is just sad. It's something I'd cry to sleep to, that's for sure. And with that, Ditty was gone, and so were its songs. Ditty was special, man. I don't have any of my songs, so that's something that also got lost with the app's closure. There are multiple versions online, But it doesn't matter if you have an older version, it won't work. Ditty was solely based on its servers, and without them, yeah, you're left with paperweight. Rest in peace, Ditty. You definitely left a mark on internet history. And that's some lost mobile games. Of course I could mention all of them. If I did, I wouldn't see my life beyond this chair. So instead, I'm gonna dedicate this next minute for the 8 people who bought I Am Rich.